Welcome to the CAD Builder video tutorial series. In this video, we will take a look at how to create shelf pin line boring holes for adjustable shelves. To begin, let's create a new connection construction, and once the window is open, select the drop-down arrow and scroll to Shelf Pin Line Boring Template, and then on the top line, we'll name it Shelf Line Boring. Now hit Create. You will now see it at the bottom of the list on the left side. Select it and then select the top line in the construction options that reads Shelf Pin Line Boring. You will notice that when we select the first line, it will show an image of that connection type on the right-hand side, as well as a description below, stating that this connection will bore a continuous line of holes for adjustable shelf pins inside the cabinet interior. In the middle, we see a list of all of the options or defaults that we can set for this particular connection type. First, we can set the shelf pin hardware at either no connectors, or we can set the hardware by selecting the three dots to the right to open the connector selector and select shelf pins 1 inch by 1/4 inch and hit OK. If this still shows undefined, you will need to select a pin manufacturer in the materials assignment so that it will apply here. For my example, I have previously set this to Bloom. Side hole diameter allows you to set the diameter of the hole by adjusting the value here. For now, I'll keep this set to 1/4 inch. And side hole depth gives you the option to set the depth of each of the holes, currently defaulted at 3/8 inch deep. Once these are set, we will need to take a look at the hole lines arrangement and decide whether to start the line of holes from the top of the interior section, or from the bottom of the section, or an equal distance from the top and the bottom. I'll set this to balanced, and then for this example, I will set the minimum distance for either hole, as you can see in this image, to 6 inches, and the spacing between the holes can be set to a specified distance or to 32 millimeters, which is the standard. So we'll just keep this at 32 millimeters for ours today. The front hole position gives you the option to set the distance for the holes from the front of the unit, from the rear of the unit, or the option to turn off the front holes completely if you prefer. I will keep mine set to 2 inches from the front. The rear hole position sets the distance from the rear hole to the front of the unit. Here again, you can set the distance from the front, from the rear, or the option to turn off all the rear holes. In this case, I will set mine at 2 inches again from the rear. The next option, middle holes, will give you the option to add a set of middle holes to your cabinet. If you won't be adding middle holes, simply keep it at the first option of no mid holes. If you do want to add them, then you can either set the maximum spacing, say to 26 inches, and that way when the distance between the front and rear holes reaches that threshold, it will automatically add another set of holes in the middle. The other way to add an additional set of holes is by setting a set quantity. So if I set this to 2, each cabinet would have 2 middle sets of holes. For this example, I will set a maximum center spacing to 23 inches, and that way, if it's a deeper cabinet, it will receive the additional set of holes. If you will be adding angled shelves, this next option will allow you to enable the pockets for pins on the bottom side of the shelf in order to set that angle. Once selected, you can then set the depth, length, and width. But if you are not adding angled shelves, then just keep this disabled by selecting No. The shelf side gap allows you to specify a small clearance between the shelf and the cabinet side, which typically would be set at 1/16 inch or maybe an 1/8 inch. I will set this at 1/8 inch, which will give you a total of 1/4 inch, since it will add that clearance on either side of the shelf, allowing you to move that shelf more freely. Lastly, if you will be using a CNC machine to create these holes, be sure to set this option to CNC connection parts. If you are not a CNC user, then you will set this to that second option, no CNC connection parts. Now we would like to apply this new connection to our adjustable shelves in my design. So I'll open up the construction methods and choose my preferred method. Select Joints, Interior Joints, Adjustable Shelf, and then select the Adjustable Shelf-side. On the right side, I'll open the Connection Selection window by clicking on the three dots and choose Shelf Pin Line Boring under the categories on the left side. In the middle, I'll select the new Shelf Line Boring joint that I just set up, and then if needed, I can always adjust any settings for that on the right-hand side. Since mine is all set, I'll hit Select to apply this. And now you will see that new connection shown for the adjustable shelf to side connection. Let's take a look at the wireframe editor to get a better image of what those boring holes will look like. Here you see I've placed a 30-inch deep cabinet with an adjustable shelf, which will automatically add that additional set of holes as you see here. Now that you have a better understanding of the shelf pin line boring holes, as well as the options that you can set for this particular connection, you can easily apply these to your cabinet construction. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next video. To view additional video tutorials, please visit www.cabbuildersoftware.com/training.